Hello and welcome dear students. In today's video we would talk about the poem The Trees, which is composed by Adrienne Rich. As we all know that we have this poem in our syllabus in CBSE class 10, and this poem is very important, and some of the students they say that they find this poem difficult to understand. So for them I have brought today's video so that they can understand the poem better here, and at the same time I would talk about the important questions from here. And this video is going to be very helpful. If you have not yet subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon to never miss any update. So the title of the poem is The Trees, and from the title only it can be said that the poem is all about the importance of trees, and here the poet has expressed the grave concern over the deforestation, over the issue of deforestation. As we know that every hour, every day, the trees are being cut or removed thoughtlessly from the surface of earth, and we know that how vital the trees are for our existence. So here the poet has expressed grave concern about the importance and significance of the trees. So there are some pre-reading questions, as you can see here. Can there be a forest without trees? Obviously not, because by forest what we mean is a huge concentration of trees, including the wildlife in it. Anyways, where are the trees in this poem and where do they go? That's a very important question here. So we would get these answers obviously when we would go through the poem. So at the same time, I just wish you best of luck for your upcoming exam, and we have very little time in our hand. So let us understand the poem very clearly. The trees inside are moving out into the forest that was empty all these days, where no bird could sit, no insect hide, no sun bury its feet in shadow. The forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. Actually, the poet is referring about the house in which the poet lives in, and from the house, all the trees or plants which are there inside the house, they are just moving away to a forest. So all the trees and plants from the house of the poet are moving out of the house in order to go to a forest. So the forest that was empty for these days. Why empty? Because humans have cut them down. The trees have been cut rapidly by the humans, and that's why the forests all have been empty, and the trees inside the house are now moving out into the forest. So all the trees from the house are going now to the forest that was empty all these days, where no bird could sit. This is quite natural. If the trees are not there, then where would the birds sit and make nest? No insect hide. If the trees are not there, then how would the insects would dwell there? No sun bury its feet in shadow. That means if the forest is not there, if the trees are not there, then the sunlight would not get hide under the branches and boughs of the trees. So this is the present condition of the forest lands. They all have been empty now. They have been empty due to the thoughtless exploitation of nature by the humans. The poem deals with men's cruel or thoughtless behavior towards the trees and plants, that is nature as a whole. And there are some other similar poems like this, and I would obviously mention them. That is My Own True Family, there is a poem like this, and there is another poem that is On Killing a Tree, and all these poems more or less deal with the same thing here at the same time. Okay, anyways, so the forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. That means it's night now, and throughout the night all the plants, all the trees which are there inside or within the house of the poet, they all are moving out of the house and going to a forest. The forest that had been empty for so many years, such a long time, and by the morning that forest will have plenty of trees, and the birds and other animals will come back, the insects will come back. So the first stanza deals with the present condition of the forests. So moving on to the second stanza. All night the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. As we know that as a plant grows up and gradually takes the form of a tree, its roots engage deep inside the soil. And now in order to move to the forest from the house, the roots of the trees are disengaging themselves. The roots which have grown or developed through the various cracks of the soil. As we know that wherever the roots, they just go inside the earth, they just make some cracks inside it. They just go deep inside the soil, making passage through it. So now all these plants are just disengaging their roots, as they are going somewhere else, they are changing their position. The leaves strain toward the glass, small twig, stiff with exertion, long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof. The leaves strain toward the glass. Some of the plants are there on the veranda only. They could be on some tub or something, and the leaves which were just growing up against the window pane there, all these leaves and boughs and the twigs, they all are making an effort to leave this place forever. The leaves strain toward the glass. It refers to the plants which have or the creepers which have grown against the window, against the support of the window, and small twigs still with exertion, long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof. That means some other plants which are there on the veranda and which could not develop themselves because they are in a confined situation there, they all are now making an effort to move towards the forest, which is their actual room or actual house to live in, dwelling place. How are their present condition now? All these plants and saplings, how is their condition? Their condition is like that of newly discharged patients half dashed moving to the clinic doors. Their condition is like that of the condition of those patients who are just released from the ward so that they can go home. And we know that till then they didn't recover completely. They still find it difficult to move and all that. So in such a condition, as the patients, they just move towards the clinic door in order to go to home. Their feet is not stable yet. In that way only, all these saplings and plants, they are just now making an effort to go towards the forest. So the present condition of the trees, the tree kingdom, whether you call them sapling or something else, is the same. Their condition is not good at all. They are trying to recover. All night the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. The leaves strain towards the glass, small twigs still stiff with exertion, long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof like newly discharged patients to the clinic door. And what is the condition of the poet? I sit inside, doors open to the veranda, writing long letters in which I scarcely mention the departure of the forest from the house. And the poet is observing everything here. The poet is just observing. The poet is just a mere observer here. He, the poet is observing what is exactly happening over here. And the poet is witnessing a very significant incident here. And the poet is mentioning all such things in a letter. How is the night? The night is fresh. The whole moon shines in a sky still open. The smell of leaves and lichen still reaches like a voice into the rooms. It actually refers to the renowned condition of the atmosphere all around. Now, moving on to the last portion. My head is full of whispers which tomorrow will be silent. The poet, as if the poet means to say, as if the poet can hear the whispers of these saplings and of these plants. They all are the whispering among themselves, as if the poet can hear their whispers. The whispers which the poet can hear right now would be silent tomorrow in the morning. Listen, the glass is breaking. A sapling or a plant. Some of the plants are kept inside our home, as we know, for the sake of decoration only. And those plants which are indoor plants, these indoor plants, their leaves and the plants, as if it's making an effort to break the window pane or the glass so that it can go outside. So as if the breaking of the glass, the sound of breaking of the glass can be heard. The trees are stumbling forward into the night. The trees are now moving towards the forest in the night. And the winds rush to meet them, as if the wind is waiting outside to meet them, to greet them. The moon is broken like a mirror. Its pieces flash now in the crown of the tallest oak. That is, it's an imagery. That is, whenever we just have a look at the moon at night, suppose we are standing under a tree, a leafy tree, and we are having a look at the moon, then we can't see the moon as a whole. We just we get the view of the moon into various particles or pieces. So that's the thing. So this is the poem all about, and the poem is very important. Now we would talk about some important questions which may come from here. First of all, the trees inside are moving out into the forest that was empty all these days. Why was the forest empty all these days? A question may come from here, and the explanation of this line may also come. No sun bury its feet in shadow. A question may come from here, that no sun bury its feet in shadow. What does it mean? Here shadow refers to the shadow which is created due to the leaves. As we know that the sunlight coming from the top of the sky, when it falls on the trees, inside or under the branches or boughs, the sunlight gets hide due to the shadow. So that's the thing, all you need to write here. All night the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. What do you mean by disengaging themselves from the cracks? Now, the leaves strain towards the glass, small twig, stiff with exertion. All these lines, at the same time, the leaves strain toward the glass and small twigs, stiff with exertion, long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof. These lines together mean that the trees here did not get proper room or enough room or space to grow up, and it refers to their stiff condition which did not allow them to have a proper growth, as if we have confined their normal growth. That's the thing. The poem is not merely entertaining but also very much thought-provoking at the same time. It refers to the poet's grave concern about the environment, its conservation, its importance, and at the same time, the human being's thoughtless, cruel behavior towards nature as a whole, to the trees as well as to nature as a whole. And this very what would I say, explanation here, this very similarity, the way it has been described here, comparison, this very comparison is very very important here. Why have the leaves trained towards the, why have the small twigs stiffed with exertion, long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof, been compared with newly discharged patients half dosed moving to the clinic doors. तुम लिख के ले सकते हो कि यहाँ से एक क्वेश्चन आ सकता है. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट part of the poem. A question may come from here. Here the saplings, the leaves or the plants have been compared to half dosed, yes, yet moving newly discharged patients. Yes. So this is the poem all about, and from the last stanza, moving on to the last stanza, some questions may also come from here. As for example, the moon is broken like a mirror, its pieces flash now in the crown of the tallest oak. An imagery is here, and question may also come from here. And from here also, my head is full of whispers which tomorrow will be silent. Where do the whispers come from, and why would the whispers be silent tomorrow? Now, moving above, I sit inside doors open to veranda, writing long letters in which I scarcely mention the departure of the forest from the house. The forest is making a departure from the house. Yes. The night is fresh, the whole moon shines in a full sky. So now if you look again at the first stanza and then look again at stanza number 3, you would find a complete opposite condition in between the states of nature. The state of nature is completely different in the first stanza and in stanza number 3. So that's the poem all about. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, and share with your friends. Hello and welcome friends. In today's video we will talk about Adrienne Rich's poem The Tree. Hello and welcome friends. In today's video we will talk about Adrienne Rich's poem The Tree. Hello and welcome. Poem The Tree.